Welcome to Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests. And now, your host and mine, Trevor Devall.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my loyal, devoted listeners. It has been 6 months since the last episode. 6 months! There was a time when I was releasing 2 episodes a month, when I was eager and young and fresh and eager to do new stuff. But now I'm old and lazy. So it's been 6 months since the last episode with the lovely and talented David Kay down in beautiful Burbank, California. But we're back. We're back in the studio up here in Vancouver with a lovely and talented young man who is our guest. And you know, because it's been so long, I'm not going to go on and on with all kinds of crap. You guys know what the show is. You know that, it's Voiceprint with Trevor Devall. I'm your intrepid host. You know the whole thing. So let's just get right into a little clip of our guest's work.
And that's it, Jajuka? Lord Fulkin has ordered us to take whatever's inside that thing? What's it like inside, Shesta?
Sir, I see on the starboard deck a girl decked out in white at the stables.
A girl in white?
Lord Delandau, we must make this plan work.
I know! All we need to do is snatch the wind goddess, correct? But while we're at it, why don't we just kill them all?
The Abaharaki are strong fighters. We may lose too many of our soldiers by ignoring the order.
Now enough of your babbling. It's getting dark already. It's hunting time now.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the much older sounding than that clip, Mr. Andrew Francis.
Oh, yeah! Well, welcome, Andrew. Hello!
Yes, that's from Escaflowne, way back in the day.
Too. Yeah, that's before the movie, so that's
that's
oh,
all right, yes.
Boy,
we're sort of all in that. You, me, Scott.
Yeah, we're all... Was that you? That was
me
right?
doing the shifter. That's right,
God,
it's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
How old were you when you did that show?
Oh, boy. I would have been somewhere around, I would say, 12, 13, 14,
Wow.
I would think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Was it that long ago? Yeah.
Was it so
Oh,
long
geez,
ago?
I can't even remember. No, I peed myself.
well, you've been a long-awaited and requested guest on this particular
I'm
show.
happy to be here, yeah.
So there's a ton of questions and stuff, ton of stuff I want to get through. And as always on this show, we talk about your history first. So let's play the History Bombard. Boom, boom, boom.
And now, Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests presents In Memoriam, a history of our guests' long and faithful service to the cause of voice acting.
That's the real reason why I do this show. It's just I like to do these stupid little
Snippets. The snippets are my favorite.
It's all about the snippets, really. So we have a big old stack of papers here from
Bible.
IMDb.
Yikes.
And as the listeners of this show know that I have a big problem with IMDb because they often get things wrong. So there may be things wrong here. Undoubtedly, they've forgotten some things. But basically, this big master list
Look
here.
at all those.
That's so many. I'm just going to go through and hit the ones that jump out at me and we'll talk. We'll talk about them. It'll be fun.
Sure.
So the first one here that they have listed from last year is, of course, My Little Pony.
Yes.
Now, who do you play on this?
Yeah, I play Shining Armor.
Shining Armor.
And I played Brayburn back
Right.
in the day.
And who is Shining Armor?
Shining Armor, now we have to be careful because you can't say too
that's
much
right.
about the
That's
MLP.
right. Yes.
But I do know that the finales were just aired, and Shining Armor is Twilight's older brother, and he comes for the. I think he was in an episode right at the start of the season, and then he was there for the finale as well. And he's a stand-up pony.
Stand-up pony.
He looks out for Twily. Takes care of her and shows up for a royal wedding.
My.
Quiet.
Very good, very good. You do a lot of TV stuff as well.
I do, yeah. TV and film.
A big deal for you. Because there's a lot of credits of this. What they have listed here is Supernatural. You've done some work in Supernatural.
Just finished. I did an episode in season 2, and then did another one now in season 7. In season 2, it was called
7.
I know, right?
Already.
Holy crap!
Wow.
Yeah, and they're going for an 8 too. I mean, people love the show. I mean, it's
Apparently.
huge. Yeah. So we did one back in the day for Hollywood Babylon. It was called. And for the second one, it was called Party on Garth, with working with a guy named DJ Qualls, who is the really skinny guy from Road Trip.
Right.
Everybody sort of knows as that quintessential skinny guy. He was a lot of fun, told me a lot of crazy stories. And had a good time on the show. Anytime. The crew is just so gelled now, because they've been together for so long.
Yeah, no
that
kidding.
You just get on there and everybody's happy and you're going through the days, whereas there's a lot of stress on set usually. Right? So that's kind of the advantage going back to a show at season 7. It's like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Iron Man, Armored Adventures. You played Hawkeye. Apparently.
I did. Yeah, played Hawkeye. Yeah, tons of fun.
Yes, good show. They did 2 seasons, I think.
I think it went 2. Yeah, and I think I was in possibly maybe the last episode of the last.
Oh, is that right?
No, actually, you know what? It was the very last episode of the second season. The last episode.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I
squeaked
in. You squeaked in with the climax there. This is a big one here for a lot of fans. Voltron Force.
Yes.
Playing Lance. Voltron Force, which of course is a remake of the old
one.
show.
Yeah.
And we had done the live show.
Yeah, we did the live show at the end of the day. I think I'm pretty sure Ty Olsson got pretty well naked. Yeah, I remember that. That's what I take away from that.
I tried to block that image, but it just keeps coming back.
It's deep in my brain.
Voltron Force, you guys did 26 of those.
We did do 26, I think they're just finishing air. I think the finale might have just played, or
is that
it's
right?
coming up. Yeah, they're just finishing,
cool.
Everybody cross their fingers for season 2.
Yes, well, we shall see what happens here. Hero 108 is a show here that you did a lot of work on.
Yeah, we did 52 episodes, 26, and each one was its own episode, or had 2 episodes in it, so it was almost like 104.
Wow.
It was awesome. Great cast, small cast. Brian Drummond, myself, Ian Corlett, Kelly Sheridan, and then Adrian Petru played one of the old dudes on it. It was really funny.
Really?
And lots of people popping in. So one of the guys who came up, I can't remember his name, but he's a guy who works down in L.A. and he played Stimpy in Ren and Stimpy.
Oh, that's Eric.
Eric
Bauza.
Yes, Eric. So he was a ton of fun.
Eric.
Yeah, he played another character too, Red Face Quan. Who the show was like this really wacky show, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the characters, for instance, Mr. No Hands was a guy who had to sit on his hands in a chair, in like a wheelchair, because if he didn't, he would tickle himself to death, right? And for instance, he played Red Face Quan. Eric did, and he had a little crab on his butt that would be pinching at him all the time, but nobody really knew that until it came out a little. So if you there, that sounds good. And you wouldn't know what was so wrong until we found out there was this crab pinching his butt. Right? So it was a cool cartoon. It's funny.
Ooh, I want in on that one. That's fun.
This is good.
I like that one.
What else we got here? Oh, one of my all-time favorites, of course, and one of the few times that you and I have actually worked together in the room. Johnny Test.
Johnny Test,
you play Gil.
One of the sweetest cartoons on TV. Yeah,
yes,
I play Gil.
very good.
Hey, Johnny, bro. Hey, sisters I've never seen before.
Which I think you say every single episode.
That and cha.
Oh, I love the show.
That was what, the 5th season that we just did?
We either just did 5th or we're waiting for 5. I can't remember.
No, it was the 5th because
That
I
was
think
5th.
Louis as Dookie had done the 4th.
He did the 4th,
And then I came in for the 5th for that.
and now we're waiting on that 6th.
Now waiting the 6th. It's looking good. It's looking very good.
They say it's looking good.
This is what they say.
I got an in with the people upstairs, so they tell me things
They
down in
whisper
L.A.
down, my little birdie.
There's a whole bunch of stuff here. A lot of the stuff when people come to me and they say, "Oh, I really loved your work on this thing from like so many years ago," and I don't remember any of it. So maybe you don't remember this, but Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, Powerpuff playing Bobby Green.
Bobby Green.
Bobby Green. Hey, Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, he's one of these.
Hey, he's a bit evil. He's green. He really was green, I believe.
Speaking of evil, Death Note. You played a number of characters in Death Note, but weren't you like one of the really bad guys that shows up towards the end?
That's one of the ones that I can't remember all that well. I got brought in to do, all different stuff. I think we were doing a Walla, and I played a bunch of thug and a this and a that, and I can't necessarily really remember.
Because Death Note is one of the is one of the few shows that I actually watched. I almost never watched the anime stuff, but I did watch Death Note all the way through. And I do remember that you had a rather significant part towards the end.
Yeah. Oh, yes. You're right. Yeah,
sort of a white, like almost an albino guy or something.
Yes.
Does that make
It's coming
sense?
back to me. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Totally.
I don't remember his name. or
No, I
anything
don't
like that.
remember either, but I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Nana is another one.
Yeah. We did a lot of episodes of that. I played Takumi. He was a pretty cool guy. He was kind of a dick, but
You can say that. It's fine. It's fine. There's no censors here.
He was definitely a dick. He was a prick. He got, and I actually watched a little clip. I found it online, and he was a badass. He just smoked a ton, and I think he cheated on Nana a bunch, and I don't know. It was a lot of fun to play.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. Very unlike my real.
I was gonna say nothing like you.
Nothing.
Now, is that the show about the band? Is that?
That's right. Yeah, there's Nana. She was a part of a band, and just I think it was mostly about her and her relationships with boys, and the band. Yeah,
Right. A lot of that teen girl in a band
Lot
also
of
with
angst.
superpowers shows over
Much
the past few years.
angst.
A lot of angst. I guess those are the people with the money. Is the angsty teens. Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels World Racer was that the name of the show?
Yeah, so I did the World Race, Highway 35, Acceleracers. We did a bunch of movies back in the day.
Oh, right.
And then Mark Hildreth took over for the series.
I see.
And it's funny, me and Mark, we have this odd relationship. A lot of times we will take over the parts that he was doing, and then he'll do the movies, then I'll do the TV show, or I've done the TV show, and he'll take the movies. Of all the people, Mark's the guy that my voice sort of interchanges with these days. Quite.
I guess I could hear that.
I don't really know. It's odd.
I mean, you've got more gravel sort of naturally than he does.
I do. It's not necessarily like a voice print.
Yeah.
That's the name of the...
Hey, look at that.
Wait a minute. plug. No, it's not necessarily that we have the same voice, but it just happens that when they decide to switch the voice of a character, it's just happened that I've taken his and he's taken mine more than anybody else.
Right. And you guys have got that young cool guy thing going on.
Well, yeah. Well,
young cool guy.
It's kind of I do the thing.
It's you're very good at it. It's sounding very cool. I'm freezing just standing next to you.
Well, I am quite chilly.
You did Transformers Armada.
Yes.
Also, X-Men Evolution. You were Iceman. Way back then. In fact, I think that's when I first met you.
Who are you?
I was Pyro on X-Men Evolution.
Yes.
Actually, no, that wasn't when I first met you. I first met you on another show that's coming up very quickly. But you were still quite young.
Quite young, yeah. No, lots of growing up to do.
Mobile Suit Gundam Seed, Azrael.
Was that Azrael? Yeah.
That was a big show. We just did that convention, of course, here, the Fan Expo in Vancouver. And Sam and I were sitting there at the autograph table, and of course, the people coming up, and they're always talking about the Gundams, and I'm like, wow, isn't it amazing that we do all this new stuff and nobody cares?
And the stuff that's been liked stays liked.
For years. Like Dragon Ball Z, same thing. I mean, it's
just
it's unbelievable the longevity those shows have.
No doubt.
Bionicle Mask of Light.
Yes.
This movie. That's where I first met you.
Was that the first time?
I believe that was the first time I met you. You were quite young, and you were playing the main guy.
I was playing the main guy's friend. So Taku was the main guy.
Oh, that's right.
Jason,
yes.
Jason, Mr. Redhair.
Yes. Red.
And then I played Jala, who was his best friend. And funny story about that, actually. We did the audition at GGRP.
Right.
And I got out of the audition, and I talked to my agent, and I called, and they said, and I thought I didn't have the best audition. I felt like I didn't. And so I called my agent. I was like, I don't know, it went on. And actually, I think I was on my way back to school on the bus or something like that. I might have been driving by then, actually. I'm not sure. But I was back to somewhere. And I called up, and they said, oh, yeah, they just called, actually. They said, you did a good job, but they're kind of on the fence, too. And I was like, oh, no. I was like, tell them I'll come back, and I'll re-audition. I'll do it right now. You know what I mean? And they're like, he's like, okay, hold on. I said, okay, yeah, they want you to come back in and do a re-audition. So I drove the 45 minutes back downtown and auditioned and did it again and left. And then the read, they said, yeah, you pretty much had the part already. We just thought I'd kind of razz you a bit. I was like, that's a 45-minute drive to come see you. What the heck?
Of course, that was back when gas here was 36 cents a liter.
Yeah,
so
it
you could
was a
afford
piece
it.
of cake. It was like taking a bus. You know what I'm talking about?
I had kind of a similar thing with that. I went in, and that was who was directing that from?
I can't remember. It was
what's her name? She's in L.A. She's
Chris
Zimmerman.
Right,
Yes,
Zimmerman,
she was directing. That was the first time I'd worked with her too. And I remember at that audition at GGRP.
Yeah.
I went in there, and I had no idea what they wanted to do with the character. I played Pohatu on that.
Yeah.
They had no idea. And at first I thought, well, let's try like an accent. Maybe like a French accent. So I did this character who was very much like this the entire time. And they were like, yeah, we really like that. That's great. And then so they booked, oh yeah, you're playing To Pohatu. So I'm prepared to go in for this character sounding like this. Nah, we decided no, just do something sort of big and happy. All right.
Okay, no problem.
See, as long as you get your foot in the door there, right? You just switch it all up later. Who cares?
That's right. What the hell? What else? Dragon Ball Z, of course. You played
Dende.
Dende. Again, huge show.
Huge show, and I hear about that, and I mean, that was like so long ago. I mean, I was literally a little baby in swaddling clothes when that happened. So it's like, to talk about it, it's like, I hardly remember my life back then, who I was, let alone like the lines.
I know. It's crazy. Inuyasha, you did some work for Inuyasha as well.
Yeah.
We all sort of...
a couple episodes. I think we all cycled.
Well, I mean, God, there was like endless, hundreds and hundreds
so many episodes. Yeah, it's crazy. I think I got killed. I got killed or killed someone on a cliff and ate my brother or something like that. It was it was interesting. Yeah.
What did you do today at work? Well, let's see.
A lot of this. Yeah, you got it.
Monster Rancher. That was
Monster Rancher. Yeah.
Right.
And that was a cool one. I really liked that show because we did. I remember that was like kind of one of my big first series that I got to sort of do a lot of, you know what I mean? Like be a real main character and kind of feel like it was my show.
Right.
You know, I think we did like about 110 episodes or something.
Yeah.
And we were with, it was myself, Scott McNeil was Suezo, Brian Drummond was Tiger, who was actually a wolf, which always was odd. Sammy V was Hare, and little Mochi, Blue. Haven't seen her in forever.
Maggie Blue
O'Hara. Yeah.
The last time I saw her, I was on X-Men. Evolution, and that's
long ago. She has a great voice too. That's such a.
I don't even know if she's around.
Was she Mochi actually, or maybe Mochi? No. Sorry, she was. Maggie was on the show as one of the girls, and then shoot, I can't remember her name, but somebody else played Mochi. Mochi.
I don't know.
I can't remember. Darn it.
Only did guest stuff on it, so I don't know. Again, lots of TV stuff here. Dark Angel, all kinds of stuff there.
Yeah.
Action Man was a series way back in the day.
Now, that was Mark Hildress played Action Man. I played a character called Tempest. Or Templeton Storm.
This is amazing to me that you remember all this. You remember the characters, because I never remember anything.
These are the years that built me to this year. It wasn't that long ago, really. I'm only 13 or something. Funny thing, actually, with Templeton Storm, that was before anybody really had studios or anything to record with, right? So I remember we recorded that audition in my old Robert Carrier's office, which was in this like sort of basement on Howe. It sounds creepier than it actually is. Okay? If anybody knows Robert, I promise it's not like that. But yeah, so we went down there and there was this tape machine where you push the play and the record at the same time. You know what I mean, like that.
Old school.
And I put this thing on tape that was, and I mean, I'm like a little kid at this point, and I'm doing my biggest, toughest Templeton Storm voice, like that, whatever it was. And I mean, this is like the biggest long shot in the whole world. Right. And Michael Donovan had the foresight to looking ahead in this of hiring me, which was great. I didn't expect to do the job at all. And the first day we went in, totally trashed my voice, lost completely. And I'm drinking like a Coca-Cola. People were like, "Here, warm water, idiot." You know what I mean? He was Mackenzie Gray, actually. He was like, "Yeah, this is for you." And
you shouldn't totally trash your voice, man. It's just warm water.
That's the one. So it was a really cool thing. It kind of, because we're doing a new show for Disney now. I can't say which one it is, but I play a big. Oh man, you got to see this thing. I get something you're never gonna believe. So I think that was kind of the first role that kind of made me realize, hey, I'm not just this kid. You know what I mean? I can kind of do character voices as well.
Right. Yeah. And I didn't know that about you until we did Dragon Booster together.
Right.
Because you played Fistus in that.
Yeah, and same exact kind of stuff. And I was a young guy then too.
You were a young guy too, and I hadn't seen you in some time, and you walked in, and Fistus was really down.
He was down.
And I was
silence.
I couldn't believe it. And I'm sitting there. There's Andrew doing this big, deep guy, and there's me doing this really young guy.
Like, little whiner, yeah.
What a bizarre sort of set of circumstances it was.
Yes.
Escaflowne, of course.
Which, Landau.
And
lots
lovely
of hype.
show.
You hated it, you loved the voice on that, because I was a youngin'. And that's another funny, too. Carl called me up and said, hey, I got this show that I'm doing, and I think that was one of the first shows that they'd let Carl cast the show. And he called me up to play DeLandau, which was a huge surprise as well. And that was a lot of fun. I mean, the guy had just so much hate and passion for being a bad guy that, like, you know, being a kid and getting to explore these sides of you was like, totally awesome.
And how old were you at that time?
That one, that was a while ago. So that would have been, again, around, you know, between 13 to 16, no older, maybe. I started when I was 9, right? So it's somewhere in there.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
It's all you've ever known.
It's all I've known.
So many shows: NASCAR racers, Cyber Six, Card Captors. What else we got here? Brain Powered. That was a very odd show.
Wow, yeah.
Very strange show. Yeah. You did Vampire Hunter, the animated series. Kid One. I'm sure it's a very memorable role for you.
Back at my start, you know.
So many. So many. But that's the past. That's the past.
Yes.
So enough about the past. Is there anything you're working on right now that you can talk about?
There's the two things that I'm really sort of I play the lead in one show and one of the leading characters in the other one. One's for Disney and one's for I'm not sure where the other one's going to go quite yet. But they're, you know, we got a ton of episodes, and so we're busy with those two. So that soon I'll be able to talk about once it's out. But they're really cool looking shows. Yes. The company that's doing them here in Vancouver, I don't know if I could say that because I might say too much, but they're on top of animation right now. You know what I mean? Like just the stuff
I do know.
Well, of course you
I know
do.
what you mean.
For those of you that don't know that.
Yeah, I mean they're on the cutting edge, right? I mean it looks so cool, all the little teasers we see and stuff. So really excited about that.
Yes.
Starting a new movie on Tuesday called Tom, Dick, and Harriet. It's a movie for Hallmark. I play Dick.
Oh, really?
Fittingly.
Oh, well.
And
do you live up to your name?
Oh, trust me, I do. He's actually a really cool character. It's about Tom is a guy working for an ad agency that merges with another younger agency, and he gets let go. He's conned by a person, a young man on the road. A little bit later, after he tries to get a job, he can't find one. He meets up with that boy again, finding out that he was being conned when he was giving him money for a pregnant wife that wasn't a wife. And so then and that person is me, and then I convince him that if he got fired from this place for being too old, if he gives me his ideas, I'll be his front man and I'll be the hotshot ad man. And so the rest of the movie is sort of how that sort of plays out, and
cool.
I'm very excited. The last sort of film that I've had that's been kind of like this character and having this much responsibility was a film called Fakers that we did 2-3 years ago in Montreal, and had a great time with the character, just really connected in the same way that I sort of connected this guy, and I got nominated for a Gemini for Best Lead Actor for a Dramatic Performance. Thank you very much. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to sort of get the same kind of stuff out. I mean, awards don't matter, but it's good to have a character that you can really jump into the same way, you know, that you can really look at and be like, I got this guy. No, right. He's me. You know what
That's
I mean?
right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Well, here's to the Emmy then.
Here's to the Emmy. I lost the Gemini, by the way, to Barry Pepper, who was playing Bobby Kennedy, who also won the Emmy for the Kennedys. You see, you get the years you get picked. You see,
it's a thing. It works. Is he from here? Or
he's a Canadian guy as well.
Is he from Vancouver Island?
Yeah, I think he might be from the island. Funny thing about Barry Pepper too. I did a film called Knockaround Guys with him, Dennis Hopper, John Malkovich, Vin Diesel. A ton of people, and I actually played Barry Pepper as a kid.
I was going to say you actually, there is a lot of resemblance there.
A little bit of pepper.
There's a bit of pepper there. Matter of fact, you're better looking than him, but you got a little pepper there.
Yeah, I like him with the baby fat. You know what I mean? He's a bit of a skinny guy.
Yeah, he's quite emaciated. I think he needs a cheeseburger. I think that's what he needs. Anyway, let's take a little break. When we come back, we'll talk about how you got in the business and continue on with the show from there. Don't go anywhere.
Next. Excuse me, sir. Do you happen to have my daily dose of geekiness?
Not sure what you mean by that, sir.
I mean, the source for all things geeky all the time, 24/7. News on movies, comics, video games, television, music, the works, I tell ya. A week's worth of information just a click away.
Oh, yeah. I think I got something. A week in Geekdom, your source for all geeky news all the time. Hosted by Giovanni Menendez and Brian Perez. Look for us at aweekingeekdom.weebly.com.
Hello, I'm Pastor Shell Casey, head of Keep It in the Family Ministries and proud father of 17 children and counting. As you know, in many states, we have heroically fought for the rights of the unborn by making abortion illegal, even in cases of rape or incest. And together, as brave soldiers in Christ, we pushed for laws making any woman who has a miscarriage a suspect in the murder of the baby she lost. And for this, we should be proud. But it is not enough. Our biggest battle is only just beginning. Every month, over 3 billion unborn souls are literally flushed down the toilet or thrown in the garbage after being heartlessly expelled from a woman's womb. I call it menstrucide. Life beginning at conception. Too little, too late. Life is so precious. We believe it begins before conception. And it's time for all Christian warriors to stand up for the rights of society's most vulnerable, the rights of the unfertilized. Join No Periods, period. My new faith-based initiative involving citizens who demand an end to the senseless slaughter of innocent human baby eggs. Sign up today, and we'll send you a starter kit with pamphlets and sandwich boards to pass around to your friends, family, and anyone else within earshot. On busy streets, clinics, malls, amusement parks, high schools, and especially places they sell tampons. Reach out and grab people on the street with our graphic images of used tampons, pads, and bloody toilet seats. Stick it right in their faces as they are on their way to work or relaxing in a coffee shop on their lunch break. Confront them with the graphic truth of the aftermath of what happens when the devil works in tandem with a woman's body to destroy a human egg before it has the chance to meet a goodly male sperm and become one of God's little miracles. Together, let's take our loud, ceaseless, shrill voice to the hallowed halls of the Supreme Court and demand that they immediately make menstruation a criminal offense unless a woman has at least tried to get pregnant first by any means necessary. No periods, period. Because your uterus is God's magic machine for making little Christians. This message paid for by Keep It in the Family Ministries.
You're listening to Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests.
And we are back with Mr. Andrew Francis. So, I want to ask you a question. How is it, since you said you've been doing this since you were
9 years old?
Just a little kid.
how did you get into the business? What's your story?
What's my story? Well, when I was a kid, a really outgoing kid, you know what I mean? Really like that. And Mom sort of put me into auditions for commercials and stuff when I was a kid, around 7 years old. And I did about 40 commercials before I was 9. I had done a ton of them, and I loved it.
40,
yeah. I mean, we'd go in, back in the day, they would sort of hire, like, Galoob and Hasbro, and Connex was a big one.
Right.
You know, they did a lot of commercials.
Right,
and they
right.
would hire and do, like, 6, 7 commercials at once. And so you'd get, there'd be 10 total, and you'd be on 6 of them.
You're talking
on
on-camera commercials, like for the...
On camera,
for
that's
the
right.
TV.
For the TV. And so did that for a while. And for instance, my mom asked my brother, if you want to do it, but I'm doing an audition. He hated it. Didn't do another one. That was it.
Right.
And so sort of started like that. Excuse me. And then when I was 9, I got braces. And so I couldn't be doing these, these smiley kitty commercials anymore. And so I decided to do a voice audition. And I went into Ocean Studios. And the first thing I ever did was Sammy the Squirrel with Carl Willems, who's still directing. And went in and booked Sammy. And I think that was maybe 4 or 5 days. And after that, we just... onwards and upwards. It was just once they sort of found a kid, because a lot of times now, especially, they hire women to play kids' voices,
right.
Almost exclusively now.
Right.
It's ridiculous, except maybe for now the Corlett kids are in and the Drummond kids, they're sort of taking it because they have some skills.
Right.
But for a little while there, there wasn't a lot of kids that could do the thing,
right.
And so when they found a kid that could, they used the crap out of them.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So,
and I can't imagine that there was a lot of your contemporaries that were working in voice doing that stuff either. I mean, you must have been...
The kids my age.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there weren't. There was a few... I mean, I'm trying to think of... Andrea Libman was somebody who was still... who started when I started.
Right.
Chantel Strand. There's not a lot that are still kicking around. There weren't a lot at that time, and,
right.
and they've definitely... all the ones that have come have sort of fallen away.
Right. So did you ever do any sort of... professional training? Did you go to school for anything like that?
Not for voice. No, just kind of got started. And I mean, as you know, the best training is in the room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're watching these guys, you're just getting ideas, and it was really cool to have that sort of advantage to be on some shows. For instance, Cyber 6 and NASCAR
Right.
was with. I mean, NASCAR is with all the big guys. It's like Scott, Brian, Paul,
Yeah.
Phil Hayes, just
Yeah,
all these guys, right? And so I got to learn off them. And I went to 3 years of acting school when I was, I think, about 20 or 21.
Where was that?
Lyric School of Acting in Gastown.
Okay.
With, Michelle Lonsdale Smith, who's very good. And sort of went and did that. And I kind of actually scrambled my brain a little bit because I'd been working as a kid actor, and through my teenage years in a certain way I was just trying to sort of fill a hole that needed to be filled, opposed to just doing a performance and letting that expand into the part, you know? And so I really sort of I forgot about everything I'd known, and I started from nothing. Almost knocked my water over. Started from nothing. I did One Day as the Unconvincing Elf on a show for Lifetime, and I'd sat around all day. Did this one scene with the woman from Spin City, was it? I can't know. Caroline in the City or something where she was an artist. But I was really stoked to have this. It was the mom from Back to the Future.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Leah,
that's the one.
Yeah.
And so I had this one scene. Yeah, Thompson, that's it.
Thompson,
Yeah. And so I had this one scene all day, and I was starting from nothing, and actually the scene got cut out of the movie, so I was really there for literally nothing.
Right.
And then did 3 days on a show called Phantom Racer, and then moved on and did the movie Fakers in Montreal. So it was a really, I recommend it to anyone, going to an acting class, learning how to breathe, how to really speak to someone else, how to listen. People forget that this is the most important part. You know what I mean? It's just being yourself in a situation opposed to acting a part.
Well, this leads us directly into our next thing, which is some advice for newcomers. Now, a lot of the people that come on this show are pretty much strictly voice guys, but you, of course, have the advantage of having done a lot of on-camera stuff, too. So if you had any suggestions for people who are trying to break into this crazy business...
Oh, it's crazy, let me tell you.
What, as a lifelong participant in it, what would you say to them?
I would say if it's something that really drives you, if you have a lot of voices in your head, you know what I mean, and you're just kind of a crazy person, and you feel that you can be crazy for a long period of time, because being a voice actor, as you know, you have to be quite crazy quite a lot of the time. If you feel you have that in you, I'd say go to one of the pros in town, you know what I mean, and go and learn the mic technique and learn sort of the different things, because, a lot of people think that voice acting is about just going in and doing a voice, you know what I mean? And even no matter how good you are at certain voices and stuff, there's a thing, a formula that you have to follow, especially when you get in the room with everyone, a way to listen to directors, a way to take direction and to actually take what they're saying and to make it real, into the line. And so learning those skills is really important, you know what I mean? Like you'll see some guys, a lot of new guys will come in and they'll play a part and it'll take them a long time to get where they're supposed to be because they kind of have an idea ahead of time of what they're supposed to do. And, the director's telling them to do something, and you have to know how to do that thing. You know what I mean? That's my biggest advice to anyone, is just figure out the thing that they're actually looking for in voice acting.
Right.
And it's not actually a great voice all the time, although that's a great start, you know what I mean? But it's doing the thing.
It is it's like that intangible, certain special something. I was talking with David Kay about this too, is that there's a quality that is required in the work that we do that I've been teaching for years, and I still have yet to be able to define it.
I totally hear
it's
you.
like it's that thing you need to understand. It's that we just sort of boil it down to instinct. You have to have the instinct. Mm-hmm. But when you're trying to teach people, you can't just say, "Well, it's all about instinct."
Pay me.
Exactly. $300. It's your instinct. Get out of here.
You got it. Here's the secret.
Smack my head there. Yeah, it's a bizarre thing, but
and you know what? It took me a little bit of time. Well, a little bit of time. It took me till literally last year, or even the year before, to even come close to understanding how to do that thing.
Really?
You know what I mean? And I've been through my teenage years. I played a lot of just the leading kid. You know what I mean? And then I got sort of a few breaks with Templeton Storm, with Fistus, with that kind of thing, to play sort of different character voices. Yeah. And now the show that I'm doing now, I don't know why. Maybe because I'm playing the lead and I really was forceful in getting my auditions in there and stuff. But I'm playing a whole different characters. I'm playing a guy that's made of fire who's, "You don't even know what I do." Like that kind of. There's a guy who has split personality. He's like a little inanimate object that, well, what do you think? I don't know what I think. So it just sort of, I didn't really realize that it took this much time to really understand the thing that they're looking for when they're playing back 10 auditions.
Right.
And the ones that they stand out, you know what I mean? There's a certain thing that you have to do. And like you said, it's tough to really put your finger on it, but there's something.
Yeah. I mean, it's often been said that, the type of performance that we do in animation is elevated, it's heightened, it's closer to sitcom or theatrical performance. But even that isn't quite it, because there's something. It's something still grounded in a reality.
It is, and it's coming up from that and making that bigger while still having the true rhythm of it. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway,
so that's that. Anybody get that? No.
So now you know what to do. To do what we do. That's what you know. All right, let's hear what's in the mailbag.
Oh.
Martin's mailbag.
Martin from YTV.
I love that.
Would like to tell us that here are some of your familiar characters involving Andrew Francis, Dende on Dragon Ball Z, Heighton or Heaton on Inuyasha, Mega Man of Mega Man NT Warrior, of course, Genki of Monster Rancher, Dilandau of Vision of Escaflowne, Gil of Johnny Test, Iceman of X-Men Evolution, Lance of Voltron Force. Don't forget, Martin says, YTV will continue to show Rated A for Awesome, Kid vs. Cat, and League of Super Evil, and Teletoon will continue showing Johnny Test and George of the Jungle, all featuring your favorite Vancouver voice actors. He also says the anime convention season is now upon us, so why not suggest your favorite Vancouver voice actor to come to your anime convention? And of course, I heartily endorse such recommendation. He has a personal question for me. He says, hey, Trevor, I heard about you playing Sir Atticus Moon on the Big Time Rush movie called, conveniently enough, Big Time Movie, which aired on Nickelodeon in the U.S. back in March. Once I hear when it'll air in Canada, I will send word of it to you. Come to think of it, wasn't Gary Chalk in the movie, too? He was. Gary was in that, as well as Jerry... Jerry's, who's his last name? I've totally forgotten. The Irish.
He's going to be pissed at you.
Yes, he's going to be very, very. He's going to take me down if we don't remember his name. Anyway, yes, that was a fantastic experience. That was the same producers as Johnny Test, who had done the Big Time Rush movie.
Yes.
And I played the big British villain in it with white suit.
What's his name? Is from Johnny Test, the producer?
Scott Fellows.
Scott Fellows.
Yes. He was the whole reason why I got that job, because they were looking for this character all through Vancouver and LA, and it's actually kind of funny because I haven't done on-camera stuff in 10 years. It's not really a thing, that I do. And so they're looking all over, and so finally he goes, I'm going to ask the voice guys, because I think the voice guys, that was hilarious.
Hey, who invited Dookie?
I know, it's hilarious. Dookie is just basically Scott, But,
toned down a little bit.
There it is. But he goes, he was looking, and he'd never met me in person. He had only ever, talked to me on the phone, on the patch when we were recording. So he Googles randomly an image for me, and the only one that I had at the time was like this really brooding kind of picture. And he goes, yeah, Trevor looks evil. Trevor looks really evil. Let's bring him in. So sure enough, that was it. Because apparently I look evil. So
you're saying you have to know people then? Wait a minute, I've heard that before.
I'm not going to lie to you. You do have to do it. Anyway, we have a million questions here, so let's get right on them. This one is from Michael from Toronto. Hey, Trevor and Andrew. Thank you very much, Trevor, for answering my questions in both episode 31 and 32. I thought your responses were very interesting and informative. Here are my questions for you and Andrew. For both of you. Recently, I saw the latest Muppet movie. It was great, and it took me back to good memories of my childhood. In true Muppet fashion, there was lots of singing. If you had the opportunity and honor to voice one of the characters from one of the shows you watched as a child and could sing any song as that character, which song would you sing?
Oh, boy.
So, any sort of favorite characters, not necessarily yours, but characters from cartoons as a kid.
C is for cookie. That's good enough for me.
Okay. There you go. And for me, it's very easy. It's one of my favorite Bugs Bunny episodes of all time. It's where he's fighting the vampire, and he's constantly changing the vampire back into a bat, constantly becoming. So I would sing that if I could.
Oh boy.
This one's for me. Michael says, since I finished school not too long ago, I decided to pick up the bass. I have a 1960s Fender jazz bass.
Sick, bro.
As a fellow musician, I was curious, Trevor, since you are a fabulous guitar player, what brand names of musical instruments do you like? I personally like Fenders, since they sound pretty cool, but also I like Gibsons, too. Well, you know, to tell you the truth, to call me a musician is a bit of a stretch. I'm a guy who likes to bang away on the 6 strings drunkenly at a campfire. My personal favorite types of guitars are the ones that still have strings on them. But right now...
Tuned is good.
Right now, I'm looking to my right here at my sort of guitar that I play all the time, which is a Larrivee, which originally was made just in Vancouver, but now I think they have a factory in LA as well. It's a beautiful sounding guitar, but I started with something called a Seagull, which is a fantastic guitar made in Quebec, I think. Anyway, it's very, very... Do you play any instruments?
I did guitar for 3 years. I learned to do it, and then I just do no things.
Oh, man, it's fun. You
no
want the
G,
goes.
and no D.
Oh, that's all you need.
Or no E.
Well, it's
C.
perfect. It's every rock song of the night.
Just to get a new strum pattern. I do the same thing every time.
Exactly.
It's the same song.
Telling you, that did me well for 10 years. Hello, Trevor and Andrew. This is from Justin in New Jersey.
What up, Justin?
I have 3 questions. The first 2 I asked in the Voltron episode, but were not answered. So I'll ask them again. Whoops, sorry about that. Andrew, what was it like playing Mega Man on Mega Man NT Warrior?
Mega Man was awesome. He was zany show, super zany show, zany characters popping up here and there. It was cool to kind of play the straight character in the thing and watch all the funny guys come in and do the other little parts.
And there was no end of funny guys on that show.
No, it was insane, yeah. And we did a ton of episodes. It was super fun. And again, that was at Ocean, and it was with all the familiar guys. So I love doing those kind of shows. I mean, you go in and like it's just you're there with friends and you're creating something that's really fun and. I would do that. It's like going home.
It is like going home. Second question is, maybe you know something about this. Why Tony Sampson left voice acting?
Tony, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Tony was with my agency, and he was just done with it, pretty much. I think he'd met a nice girl, and she sort of just, maybe she sort of had a little bit of influence. I think he just wanted to go and be in the nowhere's land. I mean, I don't know if he moved to just northern BC.
He went to northern Alberta. He was working in the oil patch. I think the tar sands up there.
It's odd. I don't know. And, you know, he had a lot of good gigs happening. I know there was a little thing with that he couldn't come back and do some of the shows that he was doing before, which was kind of stunk. But, you know, I can't tell you the real reason. I mean, he's a great guy, though. He calls me every once in a while.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
There
keep hitting my head on
this bump you. Yeah.
The last question is, what's Rob Bakewell been up to? He hasn't been directing for a while.
Rob!
I haven't seen Rob in years.
I heard he was driving a...
He's driving a bus.
Driving a bus.
And he's loving it. He's loving it. Driving the bus.
Oh, boy.
So,
long hours, dude. I can't remember which one I did with him. Was it Nana or... Oh boy, we did a couple back in the day at that little studio. I don't know if we can the one that shall not be named. But yeah, lots of hours in a tiny little room.
Oh yeah,
with Rob.
he was great fun. I do miss him.
He was great.
I do miss him. This one's from Aaron. Hey there, my question's for Andrew. I know that you started voice acting at a very young age, and obviously had to deal with your voice changing.
Yeah.
How hard is it for a voice actor to go through that change, and were your roles affected by this?
It's a really good question. I was going through my voice changing mode when I was doing Monster Rancher, and we were through
a lot of these kind of characters.
No, I was just doing teens that are. No, and I actually went back. Starting from the beginning, we did the first. I can't remember if it was the first season or after the second season, but they decided that my voice was too different. They wanted to recast. And so they did a full session, and we kind of pleaded like, no, we can do this. And in between the 2 seasons, the character actually had grown up a little bit, like a year or 2 or 3 had gone by. And so we kind of pled our case, and I went in and re-auditioned and stuff. You know, it's weird seeing everybody there going for your role. And this is my biggest first role. I wanted it, you know? Yeah. And so I ended up keeping with the show and still playing Genki, and we finished off the series. And I go back, and if you listen to the first season compared to the last season, it is like night and day. It's not even close. You can maybe hear it's the same guy, but I just, when you're living through it, you don't realize that it's changing that much. And people are telling me, and I just didn't believe it.
Yeah.
But looking back, it was definitely a big change. So I remember it on that one. I don't remember if it really affected any of the other shows. I think that was the longest running one. So anything that I sort of booked, it was done. The 26 episodes was done while my voice was still in that mode, right? So that was the one that it affected the most, and thank goodness I didn't lose the job.
Yes, well,
it's always
difficult.
Yeah. And that's an advantage to coming to the business as an old man.
Damn, where's my cane?
Your voice just gets older.
This is from Jeff in Halifax. What would be your dream job when it comes to voice acting? What character would you like to voice? Or what franchise would you like to be a voice actor in more than anything?
Wow. I think the voice, the franchise I'd like to be a part of, which I think it hasn't been created yet. I want to do something sort of like a Family Guy, sort of like a Simpsons, where you go in with a group of, 3, 4 really good guys, and you just do the show. You know what I mean? You're the family, and then you do all the different characters. Like Hank Azaria, and anything like that, I think would be a dream. Not only the cash, but just the longevity and the fun.
You took the words out of my mouth. I've been watching a ton of Futurama lately, and I've never really watched it before.
Great
and
show.
It's brilliant. I mean, the writing's fantastic too, but it's also that kind of thing. It's one of those. It's a core group of guys that are so versatile, and they can do all this different stuff. Yeah, that's the dream, man, for sure.
That's it. Right? Who's the main guy on that? What's his name?
That's Billy West.
Billy West. I mean, wild.
Yeah.
Oh, Bender, I don't know.
There he is. Woo! Hey-o.
And Zach Brannigan.
Zach Brannigan.
Here we are. Leela, your eyes are like two glowing. Anyway, yeah. Yes, Billy West. He's a very happy man. I love him. Anyway, moving right along. This is from Brad from Moncton. This question is directed at you, Trevor. I noticed that you finally got on My Little Pony, but not as Warhorse. That was a running joke for years, that I couldn't get on My Little Pony. It was a show for girls, and I kept saying, no, I got to be on it, but as a character named Warhorse.
Yeah. You're still waiting on him, aren't you?
I'm still waiting on him, although I did play a character that had a very similar kind of voice that I was going to do for Warhorse, but again, I don't know if I can talk about it, because I'm not sure if it's aired yet.
Sketchy there,
But it was very fun. Are you still looking for the elusive great white Barbie? Are you still looking for the elusive great white Barbie role? I know you've done a lot of Barbie stuff. For me, and for Sam Vincent too, Barbie has been my white whale. I have not been able to hunt this bitch. I've been trying to bag this bitch for years.
I've been trying to bag this bitch for years.
And finally this year, I booked the Barbie movie, finally. Playing a funny little character I, again, probably can't talk about now. But, yes, finally, Brad, the whale has been caught and harpooned. So here's to harpooning some more of them. Because they do come up a couple times a year. They're like a long-running franchise.
Yeah, it's crazy. There was a premiere, actually. They do little premieres in
really?
Kits. Yeah, you'll get an invite.
Oh, well, finally! I get to walk the red carpet.
With all the little girls everywhere.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, Andrew, it's me, Melissa, the one who asked a question last time, and you got teased for it.
Oh, yes, I do remember this. Oh, thanks, hey.
I had a hard time coming up with a question for you, but as I finished listening to the David Kay episode, something popped into my head.
Nice.
You and I are very close in age. So I was wondering, are you an actual fan of anything that you work on? Did you watch the shows and follow the storyline at all?
There was, what was that? Hack Roots. Funny enough to bring that show up. I got, that was sort of I felt like another show that I could own after Monster Rancher. And so I took that whole thing, and I really loved the music and the way it was paced, and I really liked the character, and he had a really cool arc throughout the thing. So I sat down and I watched each one of those episodes in Japanese before we did it, and just kind of got the feel and the character, and I really wanted to sort of match sort of my tone and the way I was talking with the way he looked on screen, so it would just be very sort of meshed. So that was one of the ones that, I watched the entire series before we did it. But I mean, with a lot of times with prelay and stuff, we don't really have that option.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we're laying it down and you only get to see it later.
Exactly.
A lot of times you won't even get the channels. For instance, Hero 108, I've seen a few clips online, and through 104 episodes, I haven't seen one full. You know what I mean?
There's so many shows that I've done. In fact, the vast majority of them are just wholly unknown in Canada, and it's tough because, well, I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Ireland a couple of weeks ago, and I was in this excellent bar in Dublin, and there's these two.
They have bars in Ireland?
Yes, I know, it's hard to believe, right? But every now and then they do like a tip. Every now and then, hard to believe. But I see these two gorgeous girls sitting at the bar, and because I'm in a foreign country, I have confidence like I don't have here. So I go up to them.
I'm a Canadian speak.
That's right. I had the exotic Canadian accent.
Crazy.
It was unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Unbelievable. But they said, so what is it you do for a living? And I said, well, actually, I do cartoon voices. And then I realized, this is a mistake, because the very next question is always, like what? Have you liked The Simpsons? Or have you been on maybe this Family Guy or something? I'm like, see, I've done every cartoon you've never heard of, pretty much. So it's frustrating.
Everything but those.
Everything
two.
but the stuff that you've seen.
Yeah, right.
This one's from James. James wants to know whether myself or you, Andrew, know what, if anything, is left in the Houston talent pool after the collapse of ADV. There's been a lot of movement for the worse in the anime world over the past couple of years, and I think it has to do with piracy, right? Where these companies can't afford to do shows anymore because of all the piracy going on. And I know that ADV fell apart, and
As a result of that,
and also, I mean, we've had precious little anime going on here in town.
It's been crazy. I'm hating it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
very little.
I think I've been to Ocean maybe twice this year to do stuff.
Same
and
here.
There's just really nothing going on. So I'm not sure how that happened, but
You'd think that if they went down there, that stuff would be, because I remember there was a lot of stuff that was leaving here to go to Houston.
Yeah,
right.
And that has happened. Apparently, Shakugan no Shana went down there. I only that because a fan had told me that my character was now being voiced by somebody down there, but. No, I don't know. I don't know, James. I don't know how that works, but it's been a bit of a wasteland for ADR. So
bring more ADR.
Yes,
bring it to us.
Here's hoping. Hello, my name is Georgina, and I have two questions for Andrew. First question: I remember you were Mega Man on Mega Man X Warrior. What was it like being a character?
Zany, crazy,
crazy.
Nuts.
Second question is: can you do a Christmas shout as Lance from Voltron Force? Lance is my favorite character, and I like it when you're Lance. This obviously it's been 6 months since this question was asked, because this was in December.
Yes.
So
Christmas shout.
So
wait a minute.
Let's see. What major holidays coming up? Nothing I can think of in the summer. What comes up in the summer? Mother's Day. Yes, Mother's Day is this weekend. So give us, as Lance, a Mother's Day shout out to Lance's mother.
So he was, hey Keith. So back in the thing, Allura. Hey, how's it going? This is Lance from Voltron. Just want to say Happy Mother's Day to all those mothers out there. You look good. Real good.
There you go.
A little bit of creep in there, right? Why not?
There you
Lance
go.
is a little creepy.
There you go. All right, this one is from Leanne. Hey guys, my question is the most important of all. Andrew, my question is thus. Oh boy, I'm going to get this wrong. Guy Malef or Gundam? Guy Malef or
Malef.
Does that mean anything?
What is this?
I don't know. So I'm going to go with Gundam on that.
I'm going to go with
Gundam.
I'm going to go with Gundam.
Okay. This one's from Treslin in Perth, Western Australia.
All right.
Just like to say I'm loving your work on Voltron Force, Andrew. Great
Awesome,
job.
thank you.
And I loved you as Mega Man. I remember watching
Mega Man, getting
lots of Mega Man love here.
Yeah.
I remember watching Agent Cody Banks and going, "Oh my God, it's Mega Man!"
Yeah.
Anyways, my question for Andrew: do you have a favorite role you've been cast in the past?
Favorite role? It's a good question. I really liked when I did DeLandau for Escaflowne. I was super stoked to do that. Again, with the deep voices, had a lot of fun with that. And recently now, I've sort of been doing a lot of movie trailers and stuff like that, like the deep kind of stuff. And I love it when I go in for that, because a lot of times, for instance, we did a new Molson beer campaign, and it was like, some people greet the night with anticipation, because tonight, it's Miller time. And so I'm sitting there on the first day. We did them all over the world. We did about 8 or 10, I don't know, all different regions and stuff. And so the guy comes in, actually holding a Miller. It's a thing that they never leave without their beer. And they showed up, and the guy looks at me, and I said, "Hey, how's it going?" And he went, "Yeah, hey." And he just kind of goes into the studio, and I'm like, "That's kind of weird. I wonder if he knew that I was the guy going to be." And he comes out about, maybe 20 seconds later, going, "Oh, Andrew, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was you. I didn't know you were the guy." I was like, "Who's this kid saying hello to me? Yeah, come in. We'll get started." "Is that really you? Are we affecting the voice?" Or, I was like, no, that's me. Let's do this, brah. So I love doing the deep stuff now, because it kind of blows people away.
Yeah, totally. Hey, Trevor, this is Stan from Toronto. My question for Andrew is, been a huge fan of the Hack Roots. Hack Roots series since childhood. Absolutely enjoyed your work as Haseo.
Thank you.
Was really surprised when you did not return as Haseo for the 3 Hack GU games, which essentially continue from where the anime ended.
Right.
Do you know why you weren't cast as Haseo in the games, and how did that make you feel?
Actually, it was weird. After the show had ended, I was at Ocean, and one of the producers came up and said, "Hey, by the way, we think we have another few more things for Hack Roots coming back and all this stuff." And they said, "Are you ready?" I said, "Oh yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I love the character." And like I said, that was the show I was mentioning where I watched the whole show before and felt like I really owned it and loved doing it, and I took a lot of pride in my performance. And so I was really excited to hear that the guy was coming back. And then it just kind of fell away. I don't know where it went or how it fell away. I wasn't sure if it was another series that was coming back, which I thought it was, but she might have been talking about the games. And I'm interested to know who played him after, but no, I don't know how it got away from me.
Weird. So mostly you didn't feel disappointed or outraged, just sort of confused.
Now I'm a bit disappointed. Now that you bring it up.
Now that you bring it up, you bastard. Too soon. Too soon. Hello, Trevor and Andrew. Fan of your work as always, but I have a question for both of you. I noticed you both had a role or two in the recent My Little Pony Friendship is Magic series, which, in case you hadn't noticed, has amassed a rather surprising online fan base amongst grown men. The bronies. The bronies. My question was whether or not you have been confronted by the fans about your roles on the show yet. Confronted, interesting word. The ever-growing group of fans recently had the second of many to come MLP-specific conventions. That's true. Which fellow leading VAs from the show, Andrea Littman, Ashley Ball, and Nicole Oliver, attended as special guests. I think there was one in New York, actually.
Yeah.
I realize you two play pretty minor roles for them.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the question.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I think we're done here.
Next.
But I'm curious if having male roles makes an exception for you. It's no secret that the show doesn't exactly have the most prominent cast of males. This is from John in Colorado. As I said, I've been joking for years about trying to get more male, and I wanted to do War Horse. But this season especially, there was a lot more male characters. I think they realized that they needed to sort of round out the show
a bit. For sure.
I think it's great. I mean, my characters show up every now and then, which is fine with me. I know that I'm not a lead on My Little Pony. That's okay. I'm not a girl. So it's fine. But no, I get a chance to play all kinds of really cool characters in the show, and you know, again, for me, it's a real stretch in terms of where I can go and what I'm doing.
You get to play all these crazy zany things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, people don't know sometimes that it's me playing the characters.
So there was a part I heard you played. Was it sort of a Cleese?
Sort of a John Cleese thing. That was me.
They thought it was John.
And then there was another character that they thought that Peter New did. But that's fine. That's fine. That's good. See, to me, it's a compliment. If people don't know that it's me, it's a compliment.
No, totally.
So that's
I really receive a lot of stuff on Twitter about that kind of stuff. I'm at Drew Francis 604 if anybody wants to find me. But I get a lot of people saying stuff and complimenting the work and asking different things about it. I can't say too much, so I apologize to those people. But I do get back to everybody, and yeah, I get a lot of people. I mean, the majority of the @s that I get on Twitter are regarding MLP, My Little Pony.
Yeah, it's I can't believe the popularity of the show.
And they're mostly boys.
And they're mostly men.
Yeah, they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very strange.
It's strange.
But it's fine.
It's fine. Fine. The funny thing is that before I did the show, I went and watched some, as is going to be embarrassing to admit, but I went and watched it online, and I was like, digging it a bit. Maybe I'm a brony.
Closet brony.
Because I know the girls on it, and they're doing such good work.
Yeah.
You know, like Andrea on there is like, she just blows my mind, the funny stuff she comes up with. And a lot of people know that some of the stuff she's saying is not written at all.
Right.
I mean, she sort of has the basics there, you know, for the line, and she adds these little things that you would never... They're just so out of her creative genius that she just kills it. Ashley, everybody on there.
I got to get her on the show. She's so
most
great.
definitely.
She's so great.
Yeah. She's a vet.
This is from William in Toronto. Hey, Trevor, I just found the show in November, and it's awesome. I've listened to all the episodes, and they're also funny, entertaining, and informative. I had a question about voicing for ADR. I was wondering if the same English voice actor is used to replace the original Japanese voice actor because that person has been picked to represent the Japanese voice. I've been told that happens quite a bit, at least with me. There was a number of shows that I did over the years, Soul Taker and all kinds of stuff, where apparently they always brought me in to play the characters of this one particular Japanese actor. Have you ever heard about that?
No. I mean, we've done this. Sometimes they'll play the ref of the Japanese actor, so you can sort of take on his thing. But no, I've never been brought in as doing one guy. That's pretty cool.
It is. It's a strange
Hopefully he
thing.
works a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
More guy and wherever.
I know they do it in Europe all the time. Like there's the German guy who always plays like whatever Johnny Depp or something when they're doing the dubs and that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did a similar kind of thing for anime. But it's the first that Andrew's heard about it.
Yeah, it's the first I've heard of it.
And I don't know.
I gotta find my match over there.
That's right. Go and meet him and get a photo op. Another question has more to do with the podcast. You mentioned bringing people back you've already had. Will you be doing that? Because that would be an awesome idea. Kind of like a recap since the last time they were on. Either way, you should definitely have Sam Vincent back on the premiere episode.
I don't know about that guy.
I know he's trouble.
Oh, he's trouble.
He's trouble.
Trouble.
You guys have good chemistry and made me laugh my ass off, and maybe some more chicks on there too.
Well, you got me.
You're close enough.
Thanks.
Yes, I do intend to sort of do a few more different formats of the show. Sometimes I do like behind the scenes at convention shows, just all kinds of different stuff. But I've still got a few voice actors to get through here in Vancouver before I start messing with the format too much. So keep your eyes to the sky for that one.
Well, with 2 a year, you'll be doing great, right? See you in 40 years,
exactly.
sweetie.
Hey, welcome back to Voiceprint. I'm here in Trevor. Oh, lost my teeth. This one is from Interactive Booster. This is a question for Andrew Francis, one of my favorite VAs next to Tabitha St. Germain and Brad's Whale. Mm-hmm. Andrew, what are your thoughts on your performance of, again, with the Mega Man? Did you, obviously, that's the third question we've had, but you loved it. It was zany. It was awesome.
It was zany. It was awesome. Yeah. And I think that was kind of a cool, it was, like I said before, it was cool to play such a straight character in such a zany kind of land, because a place, a lot of times they would go and cut back to him and he'd have to sort of relay the information. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so he was kind of like that voice of clarity, which was kind of fun. I went and actually listened to a couple clips from that a little while ago too. I was going through all the old stuff. And
Memories all alone on the internet.
yeah, super fun.
This is from Blake Kimber. First-time messenger, long-time listener.
Oh, well, long-time listener.
Hey, I have a lot of questions for you and Andrew, but they're mostly about the same subject. A whole lot of questions here.
Fire 'em.
Mostly business-related. So,
cool.
How does one get an agent, Andrew?
How does one get an agent? Well, the first thing I'd say to do, like I've had a few people who've been doing on-screen who want to break over into radio and cartoon and stuff like that. You should go to one of your local studios. I send people to Coco, usually to go see Wes Swales, who's an engineer friend of mine. And
Fabulous guy.
Awesome. And go in there. If you want to do radio, he has like a whole book of different spots that you can choose from. You can pick and choose the ones that are good for you, and you can lay it down and have your demo. And then for a cartoon way, you want to go in and write your own little script and do a demo as well, just something that highlights the different voices you can do. And then the best thing to do is to bring that once you have that done. So you sort of have to take a little bit of a gamble and get to spend a little bit of money and have your thing, and then go to an agent and drop it off and let them listen to it. And there's a few agencies. My agent has, myself, Brian Drummond, a bunch of different people. And there's Ralph Characters, I think, has a lot of people. And there's some agents that have a lot and they're good at dealing with voice stuff. So go to them, they'll give a listen, and then they should never cost you any money. You know what I mean? They only take a percentage of what you make. Mm-hmm. So if you ever get asked that, ward it off.
Run away.
But yeah, just go to one of the agents in your city that kind of works in that industry, bring your demo, and take your shot.
Well, you've answered quite a few of the questions that she had here. Excellent. Excellent.
I knew
Yes.
what was coming.
Dear Mr. Trevor Devall and, of course, Andrew Francis, I have thus far been too shy to write into your show, but I felt the need to say thank you. I know that you're a busy man, and I'm hoping that the fact you've taken so long to upload the newest episode is because you've been way too busy making the cartoon world a better place with your lovely voice. Anyway, my thank you is because of this. This is kind of cool here, Trevor. After listening to your show, I realized that I kind of want to be an audio engineer. So I applied at various schools across the country, and somehow I was accepted into all of them.
Wow.
I decided to go to the one in Toronto, and I'm moving there from humble Edmonton, my hometown. I'll be taking a giant step towards my dream. Without your show, I wouldn't have known it to be a career option, and I would still be living at home lost and looking for directions. Well, that is probably the best compliment, I think,
that's awesome.
that I can get. That's fantastic.
No doubt.
Question for Andrew. I have a question for you regarding Gundam Seed. If you remember, how did it feel playing someone like Murata Azrael? He was probably the most disgusting person in that entire show, so props to you for doing an excellent job at making him so horrible and psychotic. I understand that Trevor and some other actors will often forget what the characters are in shows, so if you don't remember, that's okay. But apparently Andrew remembers everything he's ever done.
Yeah,
so I'm just curious as to how you would get into the role of such a villain. Kind regards, Aaron.
Along the same lines as Delandau for Visions of Escaflowne. I think that everybody sort of has that side in them. You know what I mean? They have that bad guy, especially as a voice actor. You're welcoming of those parts that are going to help you. You get to go crazy on a little bit. Like I was saying, I play a lot of teenage boy You know what I mean? So you're straight up, your guy who's figuring everything out, and yada yada. So it was really cool to play kind of a psychotic sort of villainous guy. I wouldn't say there was a lot of getting into it beforehand, except maybe insulting the director a little bit. You know what I mean? Just like smoking multiple cigarettes while drinking. I mean that happens every session, though. You know, Trevor.
Of course.
I mean,
I'm loaded right now.
Yeah, that's the smell. I thought you were drinking vodka. No? So there wasn't a lot of prep to get into it, but it just sort of having a good idea of what's happening in the episode and just filling it up and having a lot of fun. The more fun you have, the more people like listening to what you're doing. You know,
I think that's probably the best possible advice too. It's all about the fun. It's all about the love.
It's because if you're not having a good time, people are gonna know.
This is true. This is true. And you can. It's part of that certain special something we were talking about.
It is. It's that fun. Exactly. It's that feel goodness.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that does it for the questions.
Wow,
and
fun.
that pretty much brings us to the end of our interview here. So, I know, it's over. Thank you so much. You've been a fabulous guest.
This is so much fun.
Very informative. And again, nobody remembers as many characters as you do. I think this is a new record.
I should forget more so I seem cooler. I think should happen. I don't remember. There's so many.
That's tremendous. You'd be a fan favorite, man, at any convention because you could answer all
I'm
those
going to start hitting them up. I swear.
remember all of this stuff. Our next guest on the show, and I promise you it will not be a 6-month wait this time. Our next guest is the lovely, the talented, the eccentric, and one of my favorite people in the world, Mr. Mark Oliver.
Oh, my, yes.
And Mr. Mark Oliver. I've been waiting for a long time to have Mark on the show. He's a great guy, and he's going to have some wonderful stories, I have no doubt. So, as always, send in your questions for Mark to voiceprint@trevordevall.com. And if you have any questions or comments for me, feel free, as always, to send them in to your intrepid host at fans@trevordevall.com.
Just a little thing. You got to ask him about how he falls asleep in almost every session we ever do. I swear. And he's a snorer.
I've seen it.
Oh, you know.
I've
you know.
experienced.
But you got to razz him. I took pictures last time. I'll release him if you don't ask. I promise. You can tell him that.
That'll be the surprise question for Mark.
From me. From Andrew Francis.
Andrew Francis writes,
loved your work.
When you are awake. Thanks again, Andrew.
Hey, yeah.
And hopefully we'll see you more in session.
Right on. Catch you guys later. Thank you.
We shall see you all on the flip side.